Hello guys, it's Brett. Thanks for coming by my channel. So here we are, September 1st. For all intents and purposes, it's autumn. However, it's 105 degrees where I am today. So it feels more like we're in the middle of July. No matter how many pumpkin spice lattes Starbucks is telling me to get in the mood. It's really hot. So September TBR. Again, like I said the other day, my TBRs are always kind of a guidepost of what I would like to read. I'm always kind of excited at the end of the month if I've actually knocked out half of it. This list of 10 books that I have selected, we'll check back at the end of the month and see how well I actually did. I will really try. I really do try to stick to it. But I think in my heart I'm actually a mood reader and not someone who should be picking selections so far in advance, but whatever. So to wrap up, okay, first of all, a Booker quick check-in. Yes, Tuesday is the short list. List will be announced. I still have 4 books. I'm reading one now, which is, I said yesterday, The Seven Moons of Mali Almeida, which I'm really enjoying, and who can beat this cover? The 4 that I still have left are Glory, which I had actually intended to read this month, knowing that it was, more than likely everyone is saying this is going to be on the short list, so I was in no rush to read this. After Sappho by Selby Wynne Schwartz, which I had ordered from the UK and just came yesterday, so I intend to read this. Treacle Walker, hopefully there's a chance that I can maybe knock it out this weekend. Because it's a little bitty book. But if not, I don't, whatever. And finally, Case Study, which out of this pile is probably the one at this point that I'm least kind of driven by. I don't know that it will make the short list, but we'll see. Maybe I will read it. I certainly won't get to it before, but we'll see. Then, moving on to what I plan to read in September, Jamie Ford's The Many Daughters of Afang Moy. I had already started this, I just didn't finish it to put it on for August. I'm also listening to this on audio and really enjoying it. It's performed with a full cast. So the book is basically a multi-generational family story of a group of women, but the larger themes that he's touching on are generational trauma and how it gets passed on and on and on and on. So it's really interesting, really enjoying. Hopefully we'll have this wrapped up this week, but I'm liking it a lot. Then, continuing my quest, my journey, my quest. Wow, it sounds so amazing. I am the Indiana Jones of the literary quest. You know, I started reading, got onto this track of reading books by or about E.M. Forster that had started last year with Alec, which was the Morris story told from the point of view of Scudder, who is the man that Morris has the affair with. And I loved it. And then this year, I just read this past month David Santos Donaldson's Graceland, which was about E.M. Forster's relationship with a Moroccan man that was kind of secret, one of his first and great loves. And now I'm going to dive into Bethan Roberts' My Policeman, which of course is about to come out in the movie theaters with Harry Styles in the title role. But this, again, based on Forster's relationship with a married man who is a policeman. So, really excited about this. But there's a few more books I want to explore in this world, including one by Damon Galgut, which is about him writing a passage to India, as well as a newer-ish biography I'm going to get to in Forster. So I'm going to read this over the next couple months, and then I'll do a whole video about all of them. All right, also, this was on my list of 10 books to get excited for this fall. Of course, Maggie O'Farrell's The Marriage Portrait. Big thank you to Alfred Knopf for the finished copy. Hamnet was my favorite book 2 years ago when it came out. I just thought it was tremendous. And the couple people I know who read this said this is as good, if not better than. So I am ready to bow down to Maggie O'Farrell. I'm really excited about this. I also ordered Waterstones, has this just absolutely gorgeous edition of this, which when I get it in, maybe when I do my wrap up for the month, I'll show you guys the Waterstones edition because it's truly really, really, really beautiful. But really excited about this one. Another book I talked previously about, The Mountain and the Sea by Ray Nayler. Thank you to MCD Books for this copy. This is a kind of fantasy speculative fiction book about a scientist who is tasked with exploring or coming to understand a species of hyper intelligent octopus. And of course, the government wants to get involved. So with kind of everything that happens, but it sounds really good. And as I told you before, I am completely obsessed after my octopus teacher and Remarkably Rare Creatures of all things octopi. Another book that I'd spoken about on my list of 10 books to get excited about, Demon Copperfield. Thank you to Harper for this gifted copy. This, of course, is her updated version of David Copperfield, Demon Copperhead. Did I call up the wrong name the first time? Demon Copperhead is an updated version of David Copperfield, set in the Appalachian Mountains. So I can't wait to see what she does with this. I love Barbara Kingsolver. I think she's a tremendous writer, everything she writes. And so, again, so thrilled for this. I always talk about Ann Patchett. This is another one that Ann Patchett said. It's just terrific. So, great. Excited. Black Folk Could Fly by Randall Kenan. Randall Kenan is an author who 2 years ago was shortlisted for the Aspen Words short list. He was in the long list, and then the short list for If I Had Two Wings, which is a collection of short stories. I really liked his writing. So when Norton asked me if I would like a copy of this, I jumped at the chance. So thank you, Norton. But I think he's a really interesting writer. He passed away shortly after he was nominated for the award. But so this is a kind of posthumous collection of his work. Then I have also spoken about this before, Sirens and Muses by Antonia Angris. A lot of people I've seen already saying this is one of their favorite books of the year. It's also the, for me, beloved campus novel, which I love a campus novel. So this is about a girl who attends a very prestigious art school. She gets involved with a group of people there, has a crush on a girl in this group. Beyond that, I don't know much more, which I'm totally fine with because I will be surprised. But this is also definitely goes on my list of best covers of 2022. Faux show. A Waiter in Paris, my nonfiction selection for the month, which I spoke about in my last book haul. So excited for this. Edward Chisholm writes this expose about what it's like working in the City of Lights, where everyone has this idea that, of course, it would be so amazing to be, in the foodie capital of the world, working among these great chefs and soaking it all up. And he kind of, I think, dispels that myth by saying what it's really like, what it's like to, be in that environment, how stressful it is. It sounds like a nonfiction version, a male version of Bittersweet a little bit. So excited about that. Then Army of Lovers by K.M. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Soehnlein. This is interesting. Amble Press sent me this, and so thank you, Amble Press. I love this cover, and I had seen this book previous to actually even getting it and put it in one of my lists to look out for. What I find interesting about it, I'm going to read you the premise of it. Army of Lovers follows a young gay man swept up in the excitement, fury, and poignancy of the AIDS activist group ACT UP. Arriving in New York City, full of idealism, Paul discovers the queer community gathering strength in the face of government inaction and social stigma. As he protests, parties, and makes a new home, he finds himself pulling away from his HIV-negative boyfriend to pursue an intense bond with a passionate HIV-positive artist. Paul's awakening parallels ACT UP's rise, successes, and controversies, and then everything shifts again as his family is thrust into their own life and death struggle that tests him even further. Born out of Soehnlein's activism inside the vibrant queer community of the 80s and 90s, Army of Lovers blends history and fiction into an exploration of memory, community, love, and justice. I think it sounds great. However, what's fascinating about this is I just talked about in my last video, My Government Means to Kill Me, which follows a very similar trajectory. That is a black man, gay black man who moves to New York, same time period, and then gets involved also in ACT UP. So I'm really interested to see how these books are similar and the journeys these two writers decided to take and what the differences and the similarities are. So anyway, I also think that that's just such a great cover. Brother Alive. I've talked about this before, by Zain Khalid. I knew very little about this. I had read some reviews about it, people that I like on Instagram saying they were interested in getting it. This is about 3 adopted brothers, but one of them has a secret, which he has an imaginary companion, and what kind of happens, it leads into their adulthood. I'll read you a quick passage. This takes place in Staten Island. The boy's adoptive father, Iman Salim, is known in the community for his stirring and radical sermons, but at home he often keeps to himself, spending his evenings in his study with whiskey-laced coffee, reading poetry, or writing letters to his former compatriots back in Saudi Arabia. Like Yusuf is the brother who has the imaginary companion. He too has secrets, including the cause of his failing health and the truth about what happened to the boy's parents. When years later, Iman Salim's path takes him back to Saudi Arabia, the boys, now adults, will be forced to follow. There they will be captivated by an opulent, almost futuristic world, a linear city that seems to offer a more sustainable modernity than that of the West. But this conversion has come at a great cost, and Yusuf and Brother 2 will have to decide if they should change to survive or try to mount a defense of their deeply held beliefs. I think it sounds really interesting. Frankly, I have no idea what any of that means. But I'm intrigued enough to read it, and I hope that it will become clear, and I will be able to tell you. So that's Brother Alive. And then the final book, I posted about this 2 videos ago or something, Babel, by Rf Quang. This is, already hitting the bestseller list. Fantasy book about set at a Oxford secret school that studies the power of language while also dealing in the magical arts. It sounds a little bit like it could be in the world of Ordinary Monsters. They've likened it to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I was a big fan of. So it's a little more of a chunkster, so we'll see. This is not a high priority for me. It could become, but definitely like the fantasy sci-fi dabblings, and all of that I've talked about just now sounds cool. Those are my hopefuls for September. Like I said, we'll see what actually sticks. I am excited to also see on Tuesday again what the Booker shortlist is and how much more reading I will have to do. On top of that, in 2 weeks, the National Book Award long list comes out. I don't know if I'm going to follow that whole thing or if I'm going to participate in reading, but I'm definitely interested to see what's going to be on the long list. So I hope you all have a fantastic day. If you are in somewhere that is sweltering under the heat, please stay cool, stay inside. Again, drink your liquids, and just sit down and read a book.